Hi guys, this is Sam with Spieler Custom Baits, and today I'm going to go over how to use body materials to create a couple of different bait profiles for your crappie jigs. All of these jigs I'm going to start with using a 1/16 ounce jig head with a number 4 hook, and they're all going to be started the same way. We're going to start by using a little bit of adhesive on the shank and then tying in a little bit of bucktail. This is also a good way to use some of the body materials that you might have in different ways to create different bait profiles. Start tying these down. Down to the hook bend. And back up to the collar. Oh, use a little bit too much adhesive. Just get rid of some of that excess and then cut off this tag end. And then we're going to tie in a little bit of this bucktail. Getting rid of the guard hairs, trimming it down to size. And just tying this down. Now there's many ways you can become creative with the materials that you have for creating profiles on these jigs. Today we're just going to kind of go over a couple of ways to use crystal flash and worm bodies. The first is going to just be the simple. We're going to take a little bit of crystal flash, tie it in, and I really enjoy using these types of crystal flash chenilles. They're pretty versatile. And this first one is just showing how just your simple wrap, keeping even pressure and brushing it back, creates kind of that full body profile while giving it quite a bit of attractant so that the fish sees that reflective light off the body of your jig. Now just tying that in, that crystal flash chenille. Gives it a pretty good full profile with that brush back look. And just clip that. And a little bit of a close-up on how that body style. Now for that second one, it's the exact same steps leading up to this, but this time we're going to tie in crystal flash with worm body. Tie those in together and then tie that in, clean it up towards the collar of the hook. Now with this one, I'm going to wrap it in parallel with each other. So what we're going to do is keep even pressure and act like both of those are now just one piece of chenille, and wrap it in parallel all the way down the body of the jig. Almost like a candy cane look. And with this crystal flash, it kind of makes it have a little more chaotic body type, giving it a little bit more of a natural feel. It's not so uniform, while still maintaining that flash pattern that gives the good attractant for crappie or whatever other panfish you might be fishing for. Give that just a little brush back. Make sure it's set where I wanted it. And you can see in the final product, it gives it just a little bit more broken up body profile to it. Alright, in this next one, we're going to be tying in both the crystal flash chenille and another warm body chenille. Tying that in and locking it back down. And I kind of like this way of tying these in. I'm going to start with the crystal flash, and we're going to tie that in as if it's the only body type that's going to be on there. Brushing it back, trying to create the body as full as possibly can. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tie that one down. Making sure that we secure that into place, and then we're going to clip that one off. And then we're going to come back with the worm chenille. And what we're going to do with that worm chenille is we're going to go ahead, keep even pressure, and we're going to wrap that around the crystal flash. And what this does is it gives it a really nice broken up profile to that jig. It keeps the crystal flash chenille hanging out in between the worm chenille, which almost gives it kind of like a grub-like appearance. And we're going to clip that worm chenille. And we're going to lock that in right behind it. And now when you look at that body type, you can see it has that almost like a woolly grub look with that chenille coming right out of that worm chenille body. And for this last one, we're going to do the same thing, tying in both the crystal flash chenille with a worm body chenille. And I really enjoy the profile that this one creates as well. What we're gonna do with this one is we are going to take both the crystal flash chenille and the warm body chenille, and we're gonna twist it. And you're gonna want to keep even pressure on your twists until you get about the consistency that you want on on that chenille body. And so basically we're going to be making a single chenille out of these two chenilles by twisting them together evenly. This is going to create a pretty well broken up body bait profile to these jigs. Takes a little bit more time. Especially if you're like me and you like it to have quite a bit of a tight twist to it to kind of break the whole thing up. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use even pressure with your wraps. And you're going to wrap this just like as if it was just a single chenille. And then just like with the others, we're going to go ahead, push it down and lock it in. I like to do it twice just to make sure. And then we're going to come in, we're going to clip the whole thing. Now if you look at that body type, it gives it a really nice full body with that crystal flash hanging out, making it a real eye catcher. Thank you again for watching.